Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watch One. Thanks for logging on. Today we're looking at the Vacheron Constantin Patrimony Traditionnelle chronograph. 18 karat white gold. You can see this traditional hand-wound Vacheron Constantin chrono on our website, watchyouwant.com. Purchase it there, and if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe to our channel, Watch You Want Inc. on YouTube. You can also click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time to see our full listing for this watch with accessories included, high-res photos, and of course complete pricing information. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters in circumference. This is actually a bold size for a modern Vacheron, as traditional as they are, especially in the Patrimony Traditionnelle line. 42 millimeters across the round of the case, not including crown or pushers. It's 50 millimeters from lug to lug. Now that's quite robust again for a Vacheron formal watch, but it's wonderfully thin at only 11 millimeters thick, and you can see how it has a generously sloped bezel to slide easily under any kind of tight cuff or formal sleeve. Now on my wrist, 6 1/3 inches, 16 centimeters, the watch does fill up all the available area. There's no overlap of lug to wrist, but I can say that because the watch does have a little bit more generous proportion than a conventional Vacheron formal watch, if you do have one of those tree trunk wrists and you're looking for a formal timepiece, particularly one of a complicated persuasion, this is definitely the piece for you because it's got plenty of room to grow on a bigger wrist. Now I'll also say that the watch has a wonderfully integrated look because of these semi-conforming spring bars that do curve along the contour of the case, so they create that integrated look. Very little daylight showing at the flank of the case, but because they don't press up against the flank of the case, if you have a smaller wrist like mine, you can pull them straight down around the curve of a smaller wrist, again for a very secure fit. Now the quality of the strap is superb. This is definitely alligator, and on the bottom calf skin of a higher grade, befitting the watch itself, which is haute de gamme. Now you can also see that there's a gorgeous and beautifully finished Maltese cross motif Vacheron Constantin deployant clasp, and you can see how thoughtfully it's finished inside and out, both satin and polished. You can also see the Maltese cross emblem is actually stamped into the clasp interior. Again, that's attention to detail, and that's what you expect of a watch of this caliber. Nothing is a default design. Now moving back to the watch itself, you can see that the case is more complex than it appears at first glance. Let's take a look at the character lines. Now when you view it from the side, you can see that there's a complex coining about the case back to add texture and definition, and several character lines actually inset into the flank, continuing into the underside of the lugs, which have a little bit of a step and a buckle to them themselves. And then the bezel has a little bit of a step that adds visual strength when viewed in profile. But when viewed from the front, the watch is all dialed. Now you can see how the bezel falls away, effectively becoming an unobtrusive silver halo and putting all of the emphasis on this nuanced grayscale but principally silver dial. Now, understandably, Vacheron Constantin is taking a heritage caliber. The origins of this movement date back to the early 1940s, and placing it in a larger watch, so a few visual tricks are played to make the smaller caliber work well in a modern 42 millimeter case. The first is the sporting tachometric scale outboard of the minute and seconds track. You can see how this classic chronograph styling element helps the dial to breathe a bit. Moving inboard, there's a beautifully detailed seconds and minutes track, and then projecting inboard, gorgeous hand-applied white gold hour indices, and then inboard of each of those, Arabic numerals to count off the minutes represented by each. Now you can see that the sub-registers have a gorgeous concentric circular guilloche within, and they're sunken into the dial to add a little bit more texture and an extra plane of view. Now each one has a special railroad-style sectored sub-dial, or chapter ring I should say, to allow easy reading at a glance, but Vacheron has one more trick up its sleeves, and you can see how the chronograph seconds and minute counter hands are actually blackened so they can be easily distinguished from the silver base. Finally, the Dauphine hands, and you can see it to good effect from this angle, are actually half frosted to provide greater contrast against the silver backdrop. Propelling all of this is the classical Vacheron caliber 1141. Now, once upon a time, this watch went to the moon as the Omega caliber 321. It is the Lemania Bezel 2310, dramatically improved to Geneva Seal standards, and this is a rich view. This is eye candy for those who love luxury watches. Now, it's done duty in Patek Philippe as the CH2770. It's still serving in the Breguet catalog as the caliber 533.3, but it is one of the most illustrious and accomplished hand-wound chronograph movements in history, and here finished to a superb standard. Now you can see that immense balance chugging away at a classic 18,000 vibrations per hour or 2.5 hertz. And you can see it's also matched with a beautiful black polished swan's neck regulator. Now what I love about this watch is that being manual wound and Geneva seal levels of finish, it's a feast for the eyes, and there's no rotor, automatic rotor, to block the view. But also, because it has a traditional column wheel and lateral clutch chronograph engagement, you can actually see the interaction of the column wheel, the lateral clutch, and the chronograph center wheel. Now you can see the chronograph, column wheel, and the horn of the lateral clutch actually interacting as the clutch withdraws from the center wheel. You can see the driving wheel in the intermediate, and then re-engages. So you can actually see into the soul of your watch. You can view and interact with the chronograph complication in ways that you simply can't in a modern vertical clutch watch. So while it may not be the most efficient system, it remains the most beautiful, and this 21 jewel is a gem. You can see this Vacheron Constantin Patrimony Traditionnelle chronograph in 18 karat white gold and buy it on our website, watchyouwant.com.